Introductions are way better than referrals. Hey, I'm Donnie Bovian, the CEO of Success Champions Networking and author of the new book, Fuck to Focused. This is Growth Mode, a podcast all about growing and scaling your business. Hanging out with me as always is Kevin Snow, the sales automation tactician and genius. And in this episode, I'm going to freaking have some fun with Kevin and prove that introductions are way better than referrals and how people have been fucking them up for years. I want to really share this story. So for me, because of the way I was introduced to networking, I was brought up in a world that referrals are the most golden, cherished thing in the world. And there is a point to be made that referrals are a beautiful thing and usually have a higher chance of leading to new business than anything else on the planet. And so I grew up learning how to properly give a referral, be given a referral, how to follow up, make the referee look like a fucking rock star, and do all the things to actually make myself referable. And I've spent a lot of time trying to understand, how do you get referrals? Shit, I wrote the book called Endless Stream of Referrals, teaching how you can get a lot more referrals coming into your business. And I did all this because I have for the longest time run a business with the true understanding that referrals are the most golden thing ever. And when I continue to grow to understand, is there's something way more powerful, way more lifetime value, way more powerhouse maneuver than referrals, and it's truly introductions. And I think as I open up this can of worms, I think you guys are going to see why introductions are just so much more powerful than anything else. So I think we should start this one off, Kevin, with a definition of a referral and an introduction. So I'll let you take the first stab, and then I'll correct you.
So I think this is I think the semantics is actually going to be our sticking point, because I totally agree that the referral to someone who is a partner and all their clients are your clients is the best type.
But that's not a
referral
referral.
to get. Yes, it is.
No, you got to hear me out. So define a referral. Let's start there before we get into this. Define a referral.
So the definition we use when we're teaching members is a referral is a personal introduction to someone that you don't already know, so that they are they are expecting your call and looking forward to it.
Cool.
And there's one, and that is from our Andy Bounds.
I get it. There's one more thing we have to put on there, because it is unspoken, but it's a fact. A sales conversation is expected in a referral. Okay? That's the one caveat that changes a referral from an introduction for me. Is there is an actual, so an introduction is Bob, go meet Sally. Right? There's nothing there. Bob, go meet Sally. Okay? Bob and Sally can be excited to go to meet each other. They can know each other, conversations going, but that's not a referral. That is literally, I just introduced Bob to Sally. Tell them both are coming. They could have 100 pieces of synergy partners down the world, but Bob or go and meet Sally is not a referral. Do we agree on that?
I agree that hey, Bob, go talk to Sally is a lead.
That's an introduction. That's not even a lead, because there's no sales expectation here, and that's
well. The issue is, for me, is that they don't know why you're introducing them,
and they shouldn't even have to. But truthfully, they shouldn't even have to care. They should now look at it from this perspective. If I introduce you, Kevin Snow, to anybody in the world, are you going to take that conversation and meeting?
Because I know you have 100% to introduce me.
100%, right?
And you're not going to be sending me random conversations.
100%. 100%. Okay. Absolutely in agreement. My job in the world is to earn that respect. Agreed?
Yep.
Cool. So if my job is to earn that respect, that I can say, Kevin, go meet with anybody, you'll go meet with them out of respect for me. But I can say, Kevin, go meet Sam. That's not a referral, that's introduction. What makes it a referral to change up the dynamics is, Kevin, go meet Sam. I told Sam all about the sales automation you do, and he is freaking stoked to talk to you specifically about building out some sales automations for his company. That is a referral. Okay? Because there's an actual sales conversation expected about your services. It stays an introduction if I say, Kevin, go meet Sam. Sam has a whole client base that is potentially looking for sales automations. That's not getting you to the end user. That's getting you to Sam, who can be synergy for you. Okay? Now, if Sam goes, Kevin, let me introduce you to my clientele one by one, those then become referrals. I'll let you rebuttal because I can tell you want to.
So my issue with this whole introductions versus referrals thing, none of the conversations under the introduction, there's too much open-endedness for people to just literally say, hey Bob, you need to meet so and so, with no understanding of how that's a good meeting. That is the fastest way to ruin a networking relationship, is to just send people crappy introductions, referrals, whatever
now go back
terminology
to
we're
it.
going to end up leading on. But because even you have, we've had this conversation where there's been people who just send you all these people. Oh my God, this is the best person in the world I've ever met.
And it's my job then to step in and correct it if it's the wrong people.
Yes. Yep. But that is my issue with just having it be, hey Bob, go meet Bill, is that there's no expectations.
Well, you can put expectations.
There was no conversation.
Right. You can put expectations on it. You can say, Kevin, go meet Sam. Sam's clientele and your clientele are very, very, very similar. I believe there's going to be some synergy there. That's still not a referral. That's still an introduction, because there's no sales transaction on the end of that to be an actual referral.
But see, I think there is some sales conversation going on in there.
I think there is a damn good get to know you well enough that you guys can trust each other to send business back and forth. But neither one of you are going to the end user until the other one says, hey, go talk to my client, Sally. And I think that's where the line has to be drawn in the sand, because what I think most people have continued to do is give a shit ton of introductions and not actually referrals, and they don't understand the difference. Because, I mean, if we were to count those as real referrals, then there's going to be thousands of referrals made that never turn into revenue, never turn into anything. They may become a second tier in that belief. They may become like the second tier referral, but you never did business with the first person. They introduced you. Because it was an introduction, they introduced you down. So it's not necessarily semantics. It's about putting a very specific definition of a sales yes-no conversation happens.
See, now because of what I do with time on target, it's not a topic, email marketing is not something that most people bring up in conversation with their clients unless they're in a marketing world already. So I normally teach my people I'm networking with who my referral partners are.
Cool.
And I'm asking for referrals to them.
You're asking for introductions to them.
No, I'm asking for a referral.
Okay, so define the referral then.
Because there's still a business opportunity involved.
That's
what makes it a referral. because there's that opportunity for me to become that partner, that go-to person for that company.
Cool.
That is still a business opportunity in my world.
Right. But it's still an introduction. Now, it may evolve into a referral. You may actually do business with that person. Okay. But it's still an introduction until you have a yes no conversation. And then in that scenario, it's like me reaching out to a Fortune 500 and going, "Hey, I just went on your bid list. Introduce me to Mary Kay so I can get on their bid list." That's not a referral, right? I'm on their bid list. Now I've got to do the work to actually get the referrals to do the freaking business, right? So it comes down to, it's still an introduction until it becomes a yes no conversation, because I would willing to bet that most people are actually unreferable for a lot of reasons. Introductions, though, I mean, and here's my biggest caveat for all this. I can make one referral for you and get you to the end user, right? And that may open up a lot of cool doors, or it may open up that one deal, right? You may get that one transaction. But if I can introduce you to a referral partner, man, that could be a shit ton of business down the line.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. But for me, those are my ideal referrals.
Those are your ideal, but it doesn't
And it's
it doesn't make it a referral, because you can't quantify that in the moment. Quantify that referral. I introduce you to a referral partner. Quantify it. How do you put a number to it?
I don't right away.
Then it's not a referral.
See, the having the yes no conversation is a piece that you've added in that is important for you as how you determine what a referral is.
Right.
You know, everyone gets to identify what a referral is for them.
Right. But if we don't define it in the marketplace, then we're going to keep it so genericized that people aren't going to wrap their head around it. I like adding into the introduction that it needs to be very specific in nature, because I've built a reputation that I could say, "Kevin, go meet Sam," and you guys are going to have the conversation, right? But not everybody's done that.
See, for me, the introduction, as you're calling it, has to have the four same things as the definition that I gave. It has to be a personal introduction to someone that I don't already know, so that they're expecting my call and looking forward to it. You know, but I don't want people thinking an introduction is I can meet with someone and just say, "Dude,
I'm okay with that."
A bunch of quick introductions,
but
messages. Hey, Bob, C. Bill.
What is different then between an introduction and a referral?
I'm just thinking through, for me, how we make if this is going to be, our, a differentiator within SCN. Because for me, a referral is those four things.
Cool, but we got to flip it because
I know.
So that's what I'm saying. So how do you differentiate from an introduction and a referral?
I know my thing with the introductions is it can't just be, "Hey, Bob, go see
I'm
Bill."
good with that. I'm good with putting a four level parameters on an introduction.
Yep. So because I see people do that. My big thing is I don't want to minimize the importance of these introductions, referrals, whatever the term is, because someone just gives a ton of them and doesn't actually think about how they're doing it and doesn't do it intentionally. You're different. You're different than a lot of people that are out there.
Kevin's about to say, "Donnie's not everybody's built like you, Donnie." Right?
Well, no, and it's not that. And I was going to give you a compliment because you are really well connected and you've built really strong relationships with people where you can go and say, "Hey, Bob, meet Bill. I think you guys would do some awesome things together." And they're going to be like, "Sweet, awesome, let's chat." But 99.9% of the business population can't do that.
And I'm going to challenge that that's what they should work to be. And
I agree.
So by putting such a heavy, and I'm I really like your thought process. And guys, this is how you should have a business conversation at all times, right? I really like your thought process of adding the 4 steps to the introduction. But I also like the idea of changing up the idea of a referral to the sales conversation is expected, because I think that allows us to change the dynamic of what's actually happening in the expected conversation. If I'm
Yep.
going into a synergy conversation, I'm going to approach that conversation differently than I would a
Yep.
referral conversation. And because the synergy conversation, it's more about establishing a rapport to where they trust you enough to be able to introduce you to their clientele, and usually because you're willing to introduce them to your clientele, right? There's a mutual respect
Yep.
happening. When you're having a referral conversation with a sales expectation on the end, now it's more about pouring into, can this client be somebody you want to work with? Is this somebody that you want to do business with? Can your product and service actually help them? Not their people, them. And I think that's where it starts getting to differentiate in the two.
Yeah, because my big concern, especially with NSCN, for Success Champions networking and networking in general, is it's, if there's not the parameters of what is a actual qualified introduction, that you've had some sort of conversation, and you understand why this is happening. It's too easy for people to make. All right, I made 15 introductions this week. I'm a badass networker. No, all 15 of your introductions were crap. It's like the guy who gave you the referral to the political campaign,
For sure.
who thought it was, oh, I made an awesome referral to a political campaign. Well, yeah, he never had the freaking conversation, so that political campaign knew why you were calling and thought you were just another, hey, go vote for me
Right.
type conversation.
So I would also challenge that we do get a higher caliber person inside of Success Champion Networking. And I think that even with that higher caliber, I think people are giving a lot of introductions and claiming them to be referrals, if we were to look at it in that regard. And I think that's truly what happens with every networking organization under the sun, is people believe they're giving actual referrals, whether it's an expected sales conversation on the back end, and all they're doing is introducing two people, and it's not actually leading to a sale. It's leading to synergistic, things that these people can do together. Because I can promise, I've been introduced to people that I had no true understanding of why I was being introduced to them, that have turned into some of my biggest fucking referral partners and biggest door openers that than anything that I've had happen. And it wasn't a referral. It wasn't, hey, Donnie, go do business with this person. It was, hey, you guys are playing in the same freaking, sandbox. Go figure things out. And I love those type of introductions, because I mean, you talk about things from podcasting, you talk about stages, or getting into group conversations and group coaching calls, and being able to find yourself in conversation with people doing the same things that you're
Yep.
doing, the level you're doing. It's fucking amazing. And it's why I want to put such a differentiator on the two, because a true introduction to the right person just has so much more value than a one-time transaction referral.
Yeah, and I'm never going to disagree with that, because that is my ideal referral, is that type
We're
of
just going to
introduction.
change that wording for you.
So,
That
but
is that is bad programming from a past organization. That's all that is.
so yeah, and and again, I just want those introductions. I don't want this to be the blind date service where hey, you two go talk. You can do that because you already had some thought of the process in that. And if you're you're connecting people, there's a reason for it. But for a lot of people, it's like, oh, you need to talk to so and so. Well, why? Well, I think you'll have a good conversation. That's not a reason to make an introduction. There has to be something that you think you that makes you think we could actually have a great conversation and do something. There has to be that next level of thought process before you make that introduction.
I struggle with that because I could give a fuck what the outcome of that conversation is. I already know it's going to be,
Yep,
and I get it. I know people aren't
but
me, but I love the distinction in there. Let me get through it. Let me
but
get through it. Let me get through it. Let me get through it. I love the distinction in there because people need to have a understanding of why these people should be talking, why the introduction is being made. But I think if you think about a lot of the conversations that people have, we're constantly teaching people to get very specific about who you need to be introduced to, right? Get very specific. So the way people should start thinking about it is if they can think about who can I introduce this person to. Take referral out of it for the moment. Who can I introduce this person to? If you can get them down to specific, something like a Christian, business coaches, we've talked about that on past episodes, then the introduction doesn't have as much weight behind it as a referral does. I'm just introducing two people. So and so says they're looking to meet Christian business coaches. So I'm introducing them to you because that's who they'd like to meet. The difference being, if I were to say, hey, this person is a VA that works specifically with Christian business coaches, and they, you know, I know you're looking for VA services, you two should talk. It changes the dynamics of that conversation
yep,
completely.
yeah, and I agree. It's just I want to make sure when people make an introduction, it's for a reason. I because I can meet someone, and we all can do this. We can meet someone, they tell us what they're. It's like, oh, I know so and so who's in a similar space or does something really cool that would, you guys would have a great conversation about men's retreats or networking or computers or whatever the topic is. You need to talk to so and so because you guys will have this really cool conversation, and I don't know what it'll lead to. That took that second level of thinking where you're putting together the reason why two people should be together,
You know what?
as
I'm
opposed
going to
to
challenge something I said a second ago, and here's what I'm going to challenge. I don't give a fuck if you actually tell the other person what you're meeting about, and here's why. I bet if I were to look at most people's schedules, they would be nowhere near as filled as mine is with number of meetings, number of virtual coffees,
mm-hmm.
number of conversations that are happening on a regular basis. I run 10 million billion miles per hour making introductions and meeting people, okay? And I don't think most people work at that speed or have that many conversations. I think people should go back and listen to our ranking system episode where we talked about, your network needs to have a ranking. If we haven't done that episode, we need to, but need to put a ranking system. And well, let's talk about 2 seconds here. If I have people that I will flat out introduce to anybody, why? Because they are people that just want to meet with people. Okay, so I've got those people. And then I've got people all the way up to my 5-star ranking system to where, look, you ain't getting to them without an act of fucking God, because they're just a protected network. I will freaking introduce people to my 1-star introductions all fucking day long with not even giving a shit, right? But there are people that you're not making that introduction to without a huge caveat in front of it of, hey, look, I'm damn near putting my name in front of this introduction. Don't fuck it up, type ordeal. So I think that has to come into play with this whole process. I think where you're hitting it at is every introduction is this kind of 5-star introduction. And I think that's gonna change the dynamics of it because most people their schedules are so empty because they're not having enough virtual coffees. They're not meeting with enough new people. They're not getting into enough of the new right conversations that fuck, they need people to talk to.
I don't think all of my introductions are, I don't think I'm looking at it as where they all need to be that 5-star where I'm putting my name in front of it and putting my reputation on the line. I think it's more that there needs to be that trigger, that reason for me to make the introduction.
Well, I
You
think
know,
there
when
has to be.
and my issue is when I ask someone, "Oh, cool, thanks for the introduction. Why'd you introduce us?" Well, I just think you'll have a great conversation. Well, there's got to be a reason you thought I'd have a great conversation with them.
Why? Why?
Something made you think about me.
Okay, why does that matter?
Why doesn't it? I want to understand what what caused the introduction.
So if
It's
we go
if
into every conversation curious as fuck, and we go into every conversation wanting to understand, you know, what this person is, who they are, and we know in our head that every conversation's a sales conversation, why does it matter?
because I'm a high C and I want detail.
Well, therein lies your problem. because if we are a true practitioner of our conversations and how we have them and how we move forward with them, then two things need to happen. One, we should teach our network how to make introductions for us. That's nothing wrong with that,
Yep.
right? And we should teach them how to specifically introduce us, right? If they make a bad introduction, that's on us to say, hey, that one fucking sucked. Like I had one happen to me not long ago. Fucking Rachel Simon, I introduced her to a guy and she's like, dude, the guy tried to pitch me the whole time. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry about that. Totally fucked up. She goes, Donnie, you've sent me so
Yep.
many good ones, it doesn't matter. I said, it does. I will do better next time to make sure that shit doesn't happen, right? I love that shit when they come back, right? It's our job to explain it, but I don't want to put the pressure on the network up front to have to overly think about what it takes to introduce me to somebody other than respect my position.
Yeah, but I don't think it's putting an over amount of stress on the network because when when we're in a conversation with someone and they say something and you're like, oh, you got to meet so and so. There was literally something that just made you think of so and so. I don't see how that is pressure on the network
So,
to be able to verbalize what made you think of me.
the difference being, I don't care what the reason is. I'm just stoked that they fucking thought of me. That means I keep doing something right to show up in their world, that my brand and name is top of mind. Fucking cool.
So awesome. From the marketing standpoint, that's really great feedback on what the things are that are working.
Cool. Figure that out in the conversation to come. And you can start off going, hey, I've got no expectation here, but Kevin introduced us. Why do you think Kevin put us together? That's a cool way to start a conversation, right?
Until they say, I have no clue.
Cool. Then you go, cool. Then you know what? Let's do this. You tell me your story, I'll tell you mine, and we'll see what the fuck turns up. And it turns into a really fun get to know you conversation that just might turn into business, which turns that introduction into a referral, which is totally cool. But it's trusting your own ability to be able to have some badass conversations with people because you have allowed yourself to be top of mind for your people. I think this is a fantastic fucking conversation. I think this is the crossroads between the old school way of thinking and where we need to evolve to as a network. Because I promise you, there's people sitting on Team Kevin's side. They're like, dude, I get it where he's coming from. I want people to be very specific with it. And nothing wrong with that. My biggest fight here is I want people to understand that there's a massive difference between what an introduction is and what an actual referral is. And I think the more we put a line in the sand there with those two things, that it's going to help clean up the network as a whole. Because people are giving a lot more introductions, and I'd like for one to know how many are actually real referrals that, lead to real business, at the end of the day, because we've all been to networking events where they're like, "Oh, we've given 10,000 referrals." Well, cool, but were they really in referrals? Was there really a sales conversation had? Or was it my name was given to a fucking politician that didn't know I was going to fucking call, and they call it a fucking referral? So I want to draw a line very distinctly in the ground saying, okay, let's make introductions. Let's do Kevin's 4-step process. Say it again because that's really cool.
Personal introduction to someone you don't already know so that they are expecting your call and looking forward to it.
Cool. That's a beautiful fucking introduction, right? I love that. I think we add in there for the referral portion of it is they're looking for your services and are excited to be talking to you, right? There's a sales conversation expected, and I think that can be different. And now I will put a gray area in there. They may not be looking for their services for their company, but they're looking for it for their clients. That is the gray area that Kevin's leaning on for his referral side of things. That is going to be up to the individual to decide, okay, was that a referral or introduction? Because there is some gray area in there. I don't think it becomes fully referral until a transaction happens, but you can adjust it at that point. But, for the most part, what people are doing and giving is introductions, and they're fucking powerful. What people, need to focus on then is specifically how do they get more introductions happening so they can create more business opportunities throughout the entire process. So I'm not sure we made this a clear, distinct line for you guys because I can't get the old school way of thinking out of this fucking high C motherfucker. But we'll get it there. But I really guys want you to think about quit being so focused on the referrals. Get focused on who do you need to be introduced to, and don't always think about the end user of your products and services. Think very specifically about the synergies or the people who are already working with your clientele and the people that can open the doors for you. That referral leads to one transaction, but an introduction can lead to thousands of transactions and really get you to some really, really cool places. So hope you guys got a lot out of this one, got to experience what it's like to have a real business conversation and kind of battle through the philosophies of how we show up and do things, because it's healthy for any organization to have these kind of tough conversations and make sure we align the company as a whole as we do this. So, as always, guys, if you got any tips, tricks, any value out of this, please do us a favor. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and tell one person about this episode or the other episodes. Love you, mean it. See you, bye.